President Nicolás Maduro led an event this Friday in defense of peace and sovereignty of Venezuela, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The fifth summit of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization event ended Friday in Bogota, Colombia, with proposals aimed at protecting and preserving the Amazon territory. And the United Nations organization officially declared a state of famine in Gaza. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Friday, President Nicolás Maduro led a political event in Caracas for the defense of peace and sovereignty of Venezuela, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The ceremony was held at the Federal Legislative Palace, where the Bolivarian president condemned the U.S. aggression and threats that seek to destabilize the South American nation. During his address, Maduro also affirmed that any aggression against a country of the region represents a threat to the Latin American and Caribbean nations as a whole. In the face of the U.S. threat, the Venezuelan head of state called for courage, national unity, and to overcome all minor differences and political colors in the country, since all Venezuelans live under the same flag. In this regard, President Nicolás Maduro expressed his complete willingness to defend the revolution and sacrifice whatever is necessary for its sovereignty. It is not time for political differences nor colors. A single flag is protecting us, yellow, blue, and red, and this homeland will be untouched. No one will touch Venezuela. The government of Venezuela expressed its firm rejection to the complicit support of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to the interfering policies of the United States, which constitute a threat to peace and security in Latin America and the Caribbean. In a communique, the Venezuelan government declared, "The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela strongly rejects the infamous statement by the government of Guyana, a miserable text that reveals its status as a pawn of dark imperial interest and the ExxonMobil company." The document also pointed out that this is a ridiculous provocation that hides the truth. Guyana has renounced its sovereignty for a few corrupt coins and has become a kneeling and submissive government willing to betray the dignity of its own people. On the other hand, the text stated, "This maneuver seeks to sow instability in the Caribbean and Latin America and represents a failed attempt to strip Venezuela of the Guyana Esequiba. That plan will fail. The only legitimate way to resolve the controversy is based on the 1966 Geneva Agreement. The historical truth will prevail, and Venezuela will use all the means and tools granted by the international law." A new study conducted by Country Monitor pollster reveals that the majority of Venezuelans perceive strength and stability in the government of President Nicolás Maduro. The survey also shows a clear dominance of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela in the people's political preferences and a disapproval of the media narrative that presents Chavismo as a minority. Below, a complete analysis of the poll's results. Regarding the perception of strength, 78% of Venezuelans disagree with those who claim that President Maduro is weaker than ever, and only 12% agreed with this narrative. In relation to perceived stability, 83% reject the idea that the fall of the government is getting closer, against only 9% who agreed. And also Venezuelans do not perceive the political instability projected by external analysis. As on the popularity of political organizations, the study concludes that 69% of respondents consider the PSUV is the most popular political party in Venezuela, while the opposition only gets 6%. 25% did not choose any or said they don't know. Finally, on the question of citizen self-identification, it confirms that 50% of Venezuelans identify themselves as Chavistas who support Maduro, and 39% did not identify with any, and only 6% sided with the opposition. In Venezuela, different organized sectors of the population remain firm and raise their voices to reject any attempt of interference and aggression in the face of threats from the United States. Our correspondent Andrea Romero with more.
Between open businesses and informal sales, this is what the center of the Venezuelan capital looks like. In response to the growing wave of attacks by the United States against Venezuela, the National Farmers United Front has spoken out.
We reject these reckless threats against Comrade President Nicolás Maduro and the Venezuelan people. We consider this action to be part of an imperialist plan against the peace and tranquility of the Venezuelan people, as well as an attempt to criminalize and physically and morally eliminate President Nicolás Maduro.
For Congressman Fernando Soto Rojas, Venezuela is threatened for two reasons.
We have been under threat for a long time. There are two reasons that have been written about for several decades. One is the enormous mineral and oil wealth that the country has, which no other country in Latin America has, and the Yankees want to take advantage of that situation and return to the colonies of the past. The second is the presence of the Bolivarian Revolution under the leadership of Commander Chavez, who reorganized this situation, reorganized this people, brought about the Bolivarian Revolution and its essential, anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, eco-socialist, humanist definitions on the horizon of 21st century Bolivarian socialism.
From Revolutionary Square, the Front of Revolutionary Women expressed its support for President Nicolás Maduro and its commitment for national sovereignty.
We women raise our voices and condemn the attempt to drive our country into situations of destabilization, riots, and terrorist acts that have already been overcome by our people's desire for peace and popular power, as well as by the awareness of women who are builders of peace and guardians of life. We are going to defend the only constitutional president, whatever the cost, and we will not allow them to get their claws into our homeland, our soil, our mountains, because, as Chavez said, there is enough island here, there are enough people here, but there are also enough ovaries here, and we will defend it, whatever the cost.
Solidarity and determination strengthen the commitment to defend Venezuelan territory. This collective resistance sends a clear message that no external pressure will be able to break the will of Venezuelans or their commitment to the future of their country.
En la cámara de Marcos da Silva, Andrea Romero, teleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
Representatives of different organizations of the Venezuelan chapter of ALBA Movimientos held a press conference Friday in support of Venezuela's sovereignty. The activists gathered in the center of the capital Caracas to declare their support to the government of President Nicolás Maduro, highlighting their commitment to defend democracy and national sovereignty. On the other hand, the organizations also expressed their solidarity with the Palestinian people who are victims of aggressions by the Zionist Israeli regime with the support of the West. The movement rejected Washington's financial support to groups linked to drug trafficking and international terrorism. And the International Platform of Solidarity with the Palestinian Cause in Venezuela emphasizes its support and commitment to President Nicolás Maduro Moros in the face of new aggressions by the U.S. government. The document states the following: "We express our strongest support and commitment to President Nicolás Maduro Moros, the tireless leader of the Bolivarian Revolution and defender of the oppressed peoples of the world." The text also highlights it is deeply ironic that a country like the United States, the world's largest consumer consumer of drugs and an active accomplice in financing and supporting drug trafficking groups linked to the international right wing, would seek to point the finger at a government like that of Venezuela, which has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the fight against narco-terrorism. And it ends with the following: we reiterate our absolute conviction to accompany you in the defense of our sacred homeland. We call on the international community not to be deceived by campaigns of disinformation and manipulation. Behind these actions lies the terrorist, Zionist and fascist right wing of our country, which in alliance with imperialism seeks to plunge the world into an unprecedented catastrophe. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The fifth summit of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization ended Friday in Bogota, Colombia, with proposals aimed at protecting and preserving the Amazon territory. The meeting was attended by Colombia's President Gustavo Petro, Bolivia's Luis Arce, and Luis Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil, as well as foreign ministers and international delegations from Amazon countries. The event's debates were focused on the reduction of greenhouse gases, as well as the deforestation that threatens the Amazon. The summit also brought together indigenous leaders of the region who participated in reaching an agreement to protect the border zones. In Colombia, less than 24 hours after the terrorist attack in Cali and on a helicopter in Antioquia, another attack with explosive devices was registered in the center of Florencia, Caquetá. According to information provided by the police of Caquetá, in the early hours of this Friday morning, an explosive device was detonated in the center of Florencia, only 1 block away from the municipal mayor's office. The explosion, which occurred in an area of high commercial traffic, left no victims, but several establishments with material damages. According to the authorities, security councils will be convened in coordination with the security forces, the Attorney General's office, the Ombudsman's office, and other control entities in order to analyze the situation and take preventive decisions. The U.S. Weather Service issued Friday a flood warning across the nation's east coast due to the effects of Category 2 Hurricane Erin. New Jersey authorities issued Thursday a state of emergency in preparation for the storm, which brought coastal flooding and hazardous surf conditions to the region. According to local media, crews rescued at least 50 people from cars, bars, and restaurants amid flooding in Margate City on the Jersey Shore. Erin moved northeast after battering several East Coast states with coast flooding and life-threatening riptides. This comes after Hurricane Erin hit North Carolina's Outer Banks with strong winds and waves. Several areas along the East Coast issued swim bans through Friday, including New York City. Hungary and Slovakia filed a formal complaint with the European Commission on Thursday due to the third attack by Ukraine on the Druzhba oil pipeline in southeast Russia, the main oil supply route from both countries. Foreign Ministers Peter Sijarto and Juraf Blanar warned that the interruption in the flow of crude oil could last at least 5 days, raising concerns about energy security in the region. They noted that the recent attacks, which had already temporarily stopped supplies on several occasions, represent a direct threat to the stability of Hungary and Slovakia. In addition, officials recalled that the European Union had committed itself to protect the critical energy infrastructure of its member states and demanded that these promises should be fulfilled immediately. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported Friday the liberation over the week of at least 9 settlements taken by Ukraine in the Donetsk People's Republic and the Dnipropetrovsk region. According to an official statement by the military entity, more than 1,120 casualties were reported among Ukrainian troops during the operation, along with the destruction of at least 3 tanks and 23 armored combat vehicles. The government body also informed that Russian air defense shot down 1,500 Ukraine drones and intercepted 25 guided bombs and 11 HIMARS rocket launchers. And we have a second show break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final show break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The United Nations Organization officially declared a state of famine in Gaza. It's the fourth time in history that this verdict has been issued. The last time was in 2004 in Sudan. Although the genocidal government of Benjamin Netanyahu has systematically denied a famine, according to the Integrated Food Security Phasing Classification (IPC), a globally recognized system to back up the severity of insecurity and malnutrition, it is abruptly confirmed. Although the United Nations made previous warnings, it did not want to make the announcement official until it had the scientific data. According to these results, in the city of Gaza and its surroundings, including 3 cities and several refugee camps, the meters requirements are met. More than 20% of households face extreme food shortages, more than 30% of children suffer from acute malnutrition, and there are 2 or more deaths per 10,000 inhabitants per day due to absolute starvation. Israel's occupation regime refused to allow foreign medical teams to enter the Gaza Strip. According to local media, Israeli troops denied entry to 2 health workers from the United States and France, who were ultimately informed that they could not access the Palestinian enclave. Medical staff pointed out that their protest against Israeli actions to the media contributed to their being barred from entering Gaza. The doctors said that the ban was also due to the fact that Zionism does not want doctors to reveal what is happening inside the Gaza Strip due to its expansionist plans. And this Friday, Yemenis took part in a massive protest in solidarity with the Gaza Strip and against continued Israeli aggressions. The protesters chanted slogans rejecting the international silence on the massacres against the Palestinian people, as well as the hostility, aggressions and restrictions that have caused what the United Nations considers the worst humanitarian crisis ever. The Yemenis also condemned the positions of some Arab regimes and issued a statement expressing their total support for Gaza and the Palestinian resistance. The document congratulates the Yemeni armed forces for their operations, as they consider it the most just response to support the Palestinians and confront the Zionists of Israel. In other informations, the Ministry of Health of South Sudan issued a health emergency alert after the nation reported 1,575 new cases of cholera and 22 deaths in the last week of August 2025. The organization informed the disease has spread to 18 states in the country, adding the collapse of the health system to the devastation caused by the conflict affecting the region. Cholera has affected more than 40,000 children in the African nation, including 20,000 under the age of 5. In its latest review, the health authority raised the total number of confirmed cases to more than 101,000, with at least 2,515 deaths reported since the outbreak was declared in August 2024. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.